how do we take what's already being done pretty well here, and how do we adapt that to the American model, which is much bigger? It's much bigger scale, everything, farming, production, processing. It's big. And you realize I've been in Europe now 2 years living here, and the hindsight is.
Let's talk about the power of hemp, from the farm field to finished goods. Learn all about it at the 2022 Midwest iHemp Expo, May 20th through 21st at the Lansing Center. Visit MidwestIHempExpo.com. See you there. We are live on the iHemp Hour. Welcome. My name is Dave Craybill with the iHemp Hour in iHemp, Michigan. Our mission is to educate, inform, and promote the research, development, and cultivation of industrial hemp. And as usual, we have our buddy Mike Brennan back with the Michigan Marijuana Report. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Dave.
And Blaine Bechtold, the Hemper.
Glad to be here, and a beautiful day outside it is today.
I know. We should start doing this outside, Dave. What do you think?
I know. Yeah, actually, it crossed my mind as I was outside. So, Blaine, are you doing the introductions?
Dave, I think I'm going to let you do it because I wasn't able to bring it up, but I do want to thank Robin and Hannah for taking time out of their day today and sharing some great information we're going to have on this. I got a little news that I'll share at the half hour, and of course, big week next week for us, going to be the expo coming up. So just to give you a little preview, we will not have a show next Thursday, and probably not one on the 26th either. I think we're going to need a week to rest and get fired back up after the expo. So the next 2 weeks, we're going to kind of take a little break, but we'll be back with other great shows as June rolls around, and everybody's going to be planting and seeing all the little hemp babies coming up. So, yeah.
All right. So, Hana Gabrielová, and I apologize if I ruined your last name, Hannah, from the Czech Republic, and Robin, Robin, you, Destiche?
Destiche. You got it.
I apologize. So, you guys are selling some hemp seed. Hannah's been around for 20 years as a hemp grower.
Wow.
And I spoke with Hannah when we first launched an audio podcast a couple of years ago. She was gracious enough to spend some time with me and let us know some of the things she's up to. It was very interesting at the time, and she formed Hempoint, which is involved in many parts of the supply chain. And now she's partnered with Robin, and you guys have some really interesting stuff to share. So I'm excited to see what you have going on. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
My pleasure.
What I'm excited too, Dave, is we're also going to cover a little bit of what they're doing as far as using hemp seed and other products for feed over in the UK. So great thing. I want to really talk about that a lot, since that's going to be exciting as we move along too. So, yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Robin, you have some slides to get the conversation going?
Yes, I do. Let me go to share.
Robin, I always like people like to know, right, how you ever got involved in this and what brought you to hemp and all that stuff. So maybe get just a quick little background of what brought you to hemp and why you're going forward and what you see about this in the future.
Yeah, totally. I got into hemp 4 or 5 years ago, I want to say. I was in Los Angeles. I went to my first CBD conference. It was a Hemp Industries Association mixer, and I started learning about hemp. But in the United States, it was a lot of, CBD. That was the big kind of, let's do this hemp thing, but let's do it with CBD. And I had always had this passion for the fiber and grain side of the plants, and I couldn't really find it, So I had an opportunity to travel, and I met Hannah during these travels. But I had gone to Nepal for an industrial hemp conference hosted by Hemp Today. Hannah was one of the co-hosts, so I had a chance to meet her there and understand what was going on in Asia. After that, I went back to the US and traveled around, met people doing different things in hemp, still looking for what I was seeking. Ended up in Poland, did a little more travel in Europe, and really learned that a lot of the fiber and grain activity I was looking for was in Europe, and so for me, it became a question of how do we take what's already being done pretty well here, and how do we adapt that to the American model, which is much bigger. It's much bigger scale, everything, farming, production, processing. It's big. And you realize I've been in Europe now 2 years living here, and the hindsight is that the American model of farming and going to be hemp farming and decortication has the potential to be so much bigger, So I've landed here in Europe working with Hana and Hempoint and now KonopiUS in the United States. And we work predominantly with the seeds. And I have a passion for the seeds because this is where it starts,
Well, if it can't grow, then you're right. Nothing goes from there. Either. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, so Hannah, why don't you chime in and tell us about forming Hempoint and how you ended up getting connected with Robin.
Yes, sure. So my career started at the Agriculture University in Czech Republic. I chose to work on thesis about industrial hemp. Later on, I've been part of the Czech hemp movement and also legalization movement and medical cannabis regulation movement, kind of all connected. But I've been always more with the farmers and farming. And in 2010, after working 10 years for NGOs on some different projects about nuclear waste and found a nuclear depository, very boring compared to hemp. So I choose to work on hemp and just founded my company, start to distribute the hemp seeds to the farmers, support them with consulting also, make sure they know what they're doing, and also start to produce hemp food. And last 2 years, we also add the hemp feed. We're going to talk later, I hope.
Excellent. Fantastic. And so the two, Robin reached out to you, you guys connected and...
Oh yeah, we met, Robin mentioned, we met in Nepal. I organized with Kurt from Hemp Today, the Asian Hemp Summit, the first kind of international conference in Kathmandu in Nepal. And Robin showed up and we met there, and then we met there the second year, and somehow.
Well, we originally met in Nepal, and then 3 months after that, we met again at NOCO in Denver, unplanned. She was there as a speaker. I was there as a volunteer at the time. And then I had an invite to Poland, and then she was in Poland again at this conference. And then I went back to Nepal 1 year later, and again, unplanned, Hannah was there in Nepal. So it was very clear we had kind of the same rhythm, looking at the same, same way of looking at hemp, and both with a passion for what they're doing with hemp in Asia. And so it was, kind of serendipitous to find this person doing the same thing in life that you are, in the same places. You don't meet a lot of foreign travelers looking for hemp in Kathmandu in Nepal.
Yeah,
it's not one of the hot spots to go to meet, right? For that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Bob Seger might have sung about that, right?
Yeah, he
did. Yeah.
He's a Michigan boy. All right, so you formed KonopiUS?
Yeah, together we founded the KonopiUS. Konopi is the name for hemp in Czech Republic. And because Robin grandmother is from Czech Republic, and our partner Corbett has also some roots in Czech Republic, his family. So we somehow call it Konopi as a hemp in US. Yeah, in US.
Very cool. All right, and then so you have a team.
Yeah. So Robin, do you want to continue?
Yeah, sure. So there's 4 of us working KonopiUS in the US. Myself and Hannah are here in Europe, and we have our partners Bert James and Corbett Metif in the States. Bert is in North Carolina. He's a farmer himself, a hemp agronomist, and he's doing hemp trial coordination. Corbett, he's also farming hemp. Corbett's got an education background, so he's very good when it comes to figuring out how concise we need to be with the language to really help educate people. And, we all have a passion for hemp and the seeds specifically, which is what brought us together. So I couldn't be happier with the team we've had this year. This was our kind of first year working together. We've all worked individually, and now we're all kind of pooling our efforts, our resources, our information. And we had a lot of success this year. we're looking forward to building on that going into next year.
Excellent. Well, that's really good to hear. We need success stories in this industry because it's not been easy. Do you guys run into any unique challenges?
Always. Never ending challenges.
How about banking over there with you guys? We got a problem here in the United States a little bit still. It's interesting. Some banks, we can actually, if you're a marijuana grower, you can actually go to that bank and they'll actually make a loan or work with you. But if you're growing industrial hemp, they won't. It's kind of strange. So how are you guys seeing your banking over there?
Banking, no problem. Hemp industry in Europe completely legal because we have the European plant variety database where are listed more than 80 different hemp varieties. And there is a common regulations for Europe. If you grow varieties from this listed catalog, from this list of the catalog, you can grow them legally because they passed the 3 years of independence testing by the government institutions. So there is proof that this THC is stable under 0.2. And they're mainly grown for the purpose of the breeding those varieties. It's the fiber or grain production. So now we have few new for cannabinoids as well, but mostly the hemp history in Europe. It's with the focus for fiber and grain.
So fiber and grain's been going on for a long time. The recreational and medicinal is more new to have available in that area for the genetics.
Recreational, it's completely not really happening yet in Europe. There is no single country which is recreational use legal. There is kind of semi-recreational in Holland, semi-recreational for cannabis social clubs in Spain, something going on in Luxembourg or Belgium, or smokable CBD for Italy. But in the general, the medical cannabis, it's on prescriptions. In Czech Republic, it's covered by 90% by insurance because the people are required to pay the insurance, health insurance. So then they also get prescription, and 90% of the medical cannabis they get kind of paid by government insurance. And so it's a different and the banks no really problem. What we was facing the problems was the payment gates. If you have eShop online and you want to set it up, the
credit card payment was an issue.
So these are usually the American companies, this global network, that they have to agree on that. And because American policy is really not very friendly towards everything related to this cannabis plant, includes the hemp and CBD products. So sometimes we had the issues to find out some, payment gate which agrees to trade whatever related to the cannabis, but we found a Czech company which can do that as well. So we are.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
Yeah, through the big one, but it was really hassle. We took maybe 2 months to communicate it with everybody trying it and but bank, it's not problem because it's all legal, So it's we trade the commodities which are
yeah, well, it's legal. Industrial hemp's legal here in the U.S., but they just haven't gotten the message yet. What's it cost to get a grower's license for industrial hemp over there?
It costs nothing. It's for free.
I hear that a lot.
In Czech Republic. In some countries in Europe there are, but in Czech Republic we grow also poppy legally. And so the same regulation which applies for the cultivation of poppy applies to hemp. And there is basically just announcement: when did you sow it, when did you harvest, how much did you sow it, how much did you harvest. So basically you do 2 announcements. You have to do announcement on that your hemp also started to grow,
So
started to flower. Sorry, it's so
the report you have to. So it's like a report. You have to do that before you grow or after the season.
No. 1 month after you start to grow, do sowing.
Okay.
You need to like send the government. I did sowing of this, but it's like 884, yeah, like 1-page document, simple. And then in the end of the year, you need to announce like how much did you harvest, where did you store it, if you sell it, to whom you sell it, because they're tracking. But in the end, it's like not really a big hassle, costs nothing, even like the farmers, they can get subsidy for the hemp seeds here.
It's a commodity crop, but you have a certified seed list, and that's what you guys are working with is some of these seed genetics.
Yeah, so because in the US now it's a big demand, so we decided to go to establish this company, because before Hempoint, like years ago, like Hempoint sending seeds to US since 2016, but it like with this COVID and increase of the transport costs, and it's a little bit like difficult. So 2021 last year was very challenging because all these like COVID influences was really like difficult. So we decided to go like this year with this like KonopiUS company. So we shipped the container to our partners. They split it. Part we keep in North Carolina, something we ship for also, like we did like repacks for smaller bags to be able to supply also the trials of different universities and farmers who want to just like the small scale. So this was done in Tennessee in our warehouse of Corbett partner, and from there we started to ship the seeds, and we set it up this online platform where it's like e-shop, so everybody can buy online, pay online. So we collected the orders and we just kind of send when we get the seeds in. So we just start to ship the seeds.
So you sent a shipment, you sent a container over here this year for seeds.
Yeah.
I just want to be interesting to know.
Yeah.
You know how many pounds you did, or do you know how many acres you've caught or people have bought seeds for? Any idea?
Yeah, I think we're in about 750 to 800 acres of seed this year on average. We sold mostly fiber seed this year. I mean, that's the focus. Canada has a lot of great grain varieties, and they're going to be accessible in the north and less expensive, largely than what's going to be coming over from Europe. So our focus has really been fiber, and the European fiber processors and fiber harvesting is really strong. So our target this year was fiber, and we've had a lot of interest in these fiber varieties. There's a lot of decorticators coming on this year, and people are targeting the herd. They're looking for applications of the fiber, of the decorticated fiber, that is, for its different uses. So we've been targeting fiber, and we do carry grain varieties. We have some very good dual crop varieties as well, which is common to Europe. But right now we're seeing that push for fiber varieties.
Yeah, so I'd really like to pick your guys' brains about decorticators, and we need something set up in Michigan. So,
well, maybe we should let Robin go through his PowerPoint then.
Yeah, let's see what you got.
Right. So happy to hit decortication, and we'll have a chance later when we start talking about the volume of seed that moves in containers. It's on average 800 to 850 acres of seed that you're moving in a container. So, this is enough throughput for, one decorticator that's doing a couple tons an hour, maybe. But you start talking more decorticators or these 5-ton an hour, 10-ton an hour machines, your volume gets exponentially bigger quickly. So KonopiUS, this is our activities in the United States. We're focused on the seed sales and distribution of these European varieties we work with. We do a lot of consulting. We are farming. Each one of us in our own state is doing farming. We're all involved in processing as well, and big emphasis on education and networking. here in Europe, Hempoint, Hana and I do a distribution of a lot of different products, including the animal feed, human food, grains, proteins, dehulled seeds, in addition to our planting seeds. And in the US, our focus right now is also trying to help find offtake agreements for some of the material that's being processed. And while the decorticators are coming online, we need to see more in the R&D side of what we can do with this material. And this little advertisement piece you're seeing here next to it, the Grow Hemp, we just ran this with Michigan State's newsletter. We do work with the Michigan States for trials this year. So they were kind enough to put this in there. We've got back some data from last year from the Midwest Hemp trials. It's really great to see the hard work these universities are doing, and looking forward to working with them again this year.
Yeah, I've been working with James Decker. He's a good friend of iHemp Michigan. Yep.
Yes, and they'll be at the expo giving all the variety trials and talking about all that great information for people as well.
Awesome. Hannah, you want to take this slide?
Yes, okay. I'm happy to take this slide because I've been working with the hemp seeds in Europe many years, and also I've been coming to US since 2016. So I think the seeds what we carrying are really able to fit in the needs of US because they are very consistent, because they coming from the largest breeder in Europe, which supply the biggest growers in Europe. So they're able to not only scale up, but also supply the very stable genetics. So which means the farmers can really rely on what they will get. And count their economic correctly, and they are very consistent, and they are all monoecious, which means very also consistent yields and quality. They are all OECD certified, which means easily can be traded in US. They are all less under 0.2 because they are on the EU catalog. So this is why they don't have COAs. Yeah, They pass this independent testing of the 3 years. There are some of them, they are very long time already on the EU market since 60s. So, which means again, they prove that they can be stable because many years they are grown. They have usually germination up to 90%, which I think it's quite good. We have all the agronomy data available in our catalog, so the farmers can easily choose what they want, based on height, vegetation period, weight of thousand seeds, content of the fiber, content of the oil in the seeds, all this data, and also there are established best practices, and we also created the guide for the farmers how to grow those varieties. So if they buy the seeds from us, we are able to really give them the best support so they will succeed.
Is there anything additional you had to supply to get the European seed in here? The OECD, that's a national situation, right? Nationally recognized. So I'm assuming. So nothing special there. Was there anything else you had to, do you have to go through any other additional hoops or things to get the seed into the US?
Yeah, you have to provide about 12 different pieces of paperwork with 4 different filing agencies. And there are some hoops to jump through to import seed from abroad for sure, especially when you're bringing in a large amount. So we spent a lot of time communicating with the ports and the USDA. Shout out to the USDA. They didn't hold up the container. I found that if you're providing them with all of the paperwork and the certification, and you really do your diligence up front and give this big, thick packet of paperwork, it can be pretty smooth, but there's a learning curve in figuring out the paperwork for sure.
I imagine.
And what jumped out at me as I'm looking at this slide, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, THC less than 2% or 0.2%?
0.2. 2.
Okay, I didn't see the
The
point
little
there.
point.
So, okay.
1.2.
All right.
And to that note, we had germ taken this year, so the germination of the 11 varieties is basically all over 90, most of it in the mid 90s. The purity, as you can see, is 99.9, at least in all cases, which is great. You don't have a lot of foreign matter. You don't have other seeds, you don't have rocks, this sort of thing. The seed weights, it's the thousand seed weight. And the THC samples, we harvested flower from a number of these varieties, and we had it tested in Tennessee. And the total amounts of THC came in everything below 0.2, and on 2 of the varieties, the Xanthica and the USO, it was non-detectable. We did get some surprise on the total cannabinoid content, though. The Fibroor and the Futura had 6% cannabinoid in the test that they ran, and this was grown for industrial. This wasn't a CBD grow. And the Xanthica 70 came back with 3.4% CBG, which we've actually seen higher in Europe previously. That CBG grown in the right conditions can get pretty substantial. So kind of brought up an interesting idea, dual cropping Xanthica for fiber and CBG biomass. You get tons of this biomass potentially, but doesn't pan out. So this was the germ and some of the tests we got back.
Yeah, excellent. That's
that test weight so what does that mean? 11, 15.6, that's pounds per 1,000 seeds? No.
That's
a grams.
Oh, grams, okay.
Grams per 1,000 seeds, and just like European are mostly like that. There are why we putting it here, because Chinese seeds are almost double. So you need to really recount like how much you buying, in pounds regards to the 1,000 seeds weight, because weight gives you the.
So that means that the early in
number is very important when you plant
So the first one is 11 grams. So that means that those seeds are probably bigger than?
Will they be smaller?
Smaller?
Smaller.
My word reversing? Okay, so it's smaller. Okay.
Smaller.
And when you're calculating your ideal plant stand, you're taking your germination, so you're going to understand how many of these seeds are going to germ, and then you want to know your seed weights, so that you can figure out how much seed am I going to need in this particular area to get this particular stand count that I'm looking for. And for fiber, you want, you're going heavy dense planting. For grain, you're going much less. So there are some calculations that need to be hit. We do average, it's about 25,000 seeds per pound. This is an average, I would say. So that's not a column I put on here. I apologize, but that's a good information to have.
So do you recommend, for grain, we're doing 25 to 30 pounds to the acre, and for fiber, we're doing about 40 to 50 pounds to the acre? Is that what you've seen seems to work the best, or do you have different recommendations for that?
Yeah, here in Europe, we do 25 to 30 kg per hectare for grain. And I think this comes out to 24 to 32 pounds per acre in this range. And for fiber, if you're doing a strictly fiber grow and you're doing, say, 50 kg, this is about 56 pounds per acre. But if you're doing textile fiber and you're really trying to get that fine straw, you might be doing 80 pounds an acre, 85 pounds an acre. You're getting very thin straw that's going to have thin fibers on it, and you're going to be harvesting when it's quite young. Hannah's got some experience seeing this technique done over in China for this textile quality.
That's very interesting. So what variety would be best for if we were to go after herd for animal bedding?
I think like every hemp has like the shapes, you know. So if you go for bedding, you need the volume. So you're looking like at the biomass weight, which is also in our agro data. Maybe on the next slide, Robin, if you can move it.
I don't have the bio data. The next one's just a label. But regarding his comment, if you're going for the herd, you want that plant to maybe get a little thicker and later into the life cycle, so it's got a chance to develop more of the herd. So we see a lot of dual crop herd here in Europe. You know, the primary grow, they take the seed and then they do the retting and then take the herd from that. And if you're doing textile growing, you're harvesting that plant quite young, you know, 90 to 100 days into the life cycle. You're not getting much herd development. So, you know, you want, if you're going for herd, you probably want these bigger, larger, thicker pieces, but you also have to take into account your machine and your decorticator. And, you know, can you decorticate a stalk that gets this thick? Probably not. You need a chainsaw for this. You know, you got to figure out what's my thickness of the straw that's going to run through my machine, and then find your seeding density based on that.
Okay. Makes sense.
About that now, I can't remember what it was now.
We have a seed label here, just an example of you know, proper labeling and the labeling you might see here. Hannah, do you want to talk about that label?
Yeah. I just want to explain like how the system of the quality control works in Europe. So basically, there are basic and basic seeds which are used just for the multiplication, and there are C1, C2 which are used for production. This is second generation, means like C2 generation. There is the lot number. It's a lot of the all batch. So when they make like batch of the seeds prepared for the certification, then they do all the like germination testing, like purity testing on that, and there is provided the certificate of origin for every batch. Plus there is like the batch has the bags number. So the bag number, it's like this like vertical number. So it's like very easy to track all the bags, and we as a distributor, we need to like keep like tracking on every bag goes number, which like client. So if something happened, we can like, you know, track it back or
A little bit of traceability, just like we do for food safety.
Yeah, very, very high traceability. Because like if somebody, you know, find out like the seed doesn't go in, there is something wrong, so they can like figure it out, like who's growing where what, and somehow, you know, take some consideration regards to that. So yeah. So basically this is it, and there is this OECD name, which means it's like international label, so it should be recognized in every country where it's like OECD like placed. Yeah. And there is of course like always the variety number, a variety name, and yeah, like the Latin name of cannabis, which sometimes make a trouble. This week we wanted to ship the seeds to Thailand, and there was this cannabis sativa. They said like, no, cannabis cannot cross borders. So always something.
We've had a question come in from Clyde Taylor. What type of decortication do you recommend, either helical or hammer mill?
Which kind of one?
Helical or hammer mill? Hammer mill is going to hammer the product, and I think the other one kind of crushes it, I think, and strips it like the Herd Master 2000. You got some pictures of using one of them.
Yeah, I think it really depends, you know, like what product you want to produce. It's like all the production, it's not about like you want to produce, you want to process that. You want to process that for some particular quality because you want to like sell it to some different markets, you know. So there are hammer mills in Europe which like crush all stem and then just like crush it, and then it's like crushed stem used for installations, and that it's like hammer mill, like perfect like application. But of course, if you want to do like long fiber for textile, probably the hammer mill it's not the best thing, you know. So because you want a long fiber and like long fiber that's not really comes from
Oh,
hammer
question
mill.
I've got for
So-
you on this dual purpose crop, right? We know that the plant has to ret in order to be able to decorticate it for some time period. If you take the grain off the top, but you leave the plant still standing out there, would it ret in that, or do you have to cut it down to kill it in order to let that retting process happen?
Well, it can ret also standing. We did some trials here in Europe and for like textile production, and the hemp will ret it even like standing. But of course, then the collection is harder because when the hemp it's dry, it's difficult to sometimes can be difficult to work with that because it gets like the fiber gets like more thick.
So I was wondering, you know, because if it can ret standing up, then that saves us, actually would save us the trip going through the field, right? If it can ret being there, then we just we let it sit there for 2-3 weeks, whatever we need, or 4 weeks, then just go back in and cut it and bale it or whatever we're gonna do at the same time. And we'd have that retting process completed, but.
Yeah, but the retting, like it's really like, it's called winter retting, you know, like if you wanna like ret it standing, you need to leave it there over winter, what the farmers usually does not prefer.
All right, so it takes a lot longer process than to do.
Have like clean field. So this is why you like do retting on the ground, but if you don't manage to do it over the autumn and then winter comes and you cannot do it, you wait, you know, when like snow or whatever like conditions are good and them are dry, and then you can call it on the during winter or in the spring, you know. So but really the application really matter, you know, like, and the quality, you know, like if you want to like high textile quality, you cannot really, you know, you need to like really like watch out like what's the condition on the field, you know. We did on small scale because it was trial, so we could do it, but I don't know if I would recommend for textile do it on big scale. So it's really on the application matter. You need to define the quality of what you want to get, and then you kind of adjust all the processes regards to that density, choice of variety, harvesting time, harvesting technology, wetting process, everything, you know.
Yeah. So I don't know, Robin. Did you want to go through some more of your slides yet? And then I've got a ton.
Yeah. So no worries. So you've seen the seeds, the germ. Here's the label. So where are they growing? This is a list of the states that we're working with this year. We worked with some additional states last year, but this year we've got a bit of a swath going here from the top to the bottom, from the east to the west. And you know, the industry's just in its infancy. You know, we're still trying to figure out what's going to grow where and what's its best purpose and where is that and how is that and what kind of microclimates and soil. You know, every year we do this, we learn something else about different varieties growing in loomy soil versus sandy loomy versus clay. You know, like it's always something different. And then in this humidity, clay's no problem, but in this dryness, it is. So, you know, it's a learning process. So we're a lot of what we're doing is still research with the different universities right now. We do have several commercial partners that are starting to scale up, but we're really putting our weight behind the research because this is absolutely needed. And then it gets out there into the world. You know, as I mentioned earlier, you know, we've got back some data this year or from last year. We're partnering with universities again this year to get that information out there and you know, doing what we can to educate, right? So we're very excited to be in all these states this year and you know, keep the momentum going.
Well, it'll be really interesting to see when your data comes out next year, you know, how we're doing these northern versus how we're doing like in Florida and how we're doing in, you know, those southern states, South Carolina, Yeah, it'll be real interesting to see this come out. Yeah, a lot of states are working.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had a lot of interest this year, and from nice broad region as well. And some regions are set up for grain, some regions are set up for textiles, some regions are set up for cotton, and it's about adapting what's in your environment. Some states have lots of grain processing and drying and storage. But there's no access to maybe textile or building or something like this. So it would make sense to try to find grain adaptation there. And as Blaine, as we were talking the other day, that the animal market's a big component of the grain side. So it's not surprising that the grain might take a little longer to catch on until we can economize the B and C quality seeds for the animal market.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Here's just a quick latitude comparison, kind of how this looks, where Europe sits in relation on these latitude lines to the United States. And you can see that 45 kind of cuts right through the southern portion of France, northern portion of Italy. Italy grows a lot of hemp. France grows the most hemp. Germany's got a lot of hemp going, Poland. We don't have so much in Czech Republic compared to the surrounding countries, but we are changing that slowly but surely. So you can see here where it's best, and this is why when the guys in Arizona and Texas and Southern California are saying, they're having good success with some of the Chinese cultivars or the Australian cultivars. I know they're not on here, but those are more kind of southerly latitudes where those home genetics are. So. Some genetics are going to work very well in certain areas and some won't, so this is a process of figuring out what's going to be best and where.
Very cool.
This is a arable landmass in the US. Again, we did the overlay here of the latitude lines, kind of see where, where's the big opportunity when it comes to industrial hemp regards arable land. But of course, we're having the competition of other commodities, as our farming partners have told us explicitly. Soy, corn, and wheat, amongst others, are carrying a higher price than they used to. So we have to see how that goes for the next couple of years.
Yeah, they're at a premium right now, that's for sure.
Well, Dave, why don't we take a little break here and talk about our sponsors and let Mike get some great news out on his 420 information. So.
I totally missed what time it was. I was
That's all right. Hey, Mike, why don't you give us some update news on your end?
All righty then, I can do that. So the big news just came out yesterday is they released the April sales figure for both medical marijuana and adult use, and it came in at $195 million. Now, a big boost came on 420, April 20th, when almost 16 million was sold just in that particular day. And the significance of 420 is, I don't know exactly where it came from, but it's like the annual celebration of cannabis at 420. I think it came out of California, and all those tech nerds out there decided that's at 420 in the afternoon, they were going to light up or something. I think that's where it came from. But anyway, getting into the specifics, medical marijuana sales were down 44% to just 27 million of the total. And adult use was way up 60% to 168 million. So the market's really shifting. Everything's moving to adult use.
Mike, are these just figures for Michigan?
Yeah, just Michigan.
Okay.
State of, from the Cannabis Regulatory Agency, formerly the MRA, they just changed that a couple of weeks ago to a new name. That's when CBD products and smokable hemp and all that fell under the purview of Andrew Brisboe, who was running the MRA. But then the governor sprang this on him in February and said she wanted to combine anything that goes into the human body into one agency. And so the backstory is Andrew wasn't given any more money or any more staff, but suddenly he's got all this stuff thrown at him. So good luck with that. But the other thing that I want to mention is, and this is, I think this is going to be a big consolidation here, because the average price of retail flour for an ounce was $203 a year ago. Now it's $123. And for medical sales, it was $245 an ounce. Now it's $133. So all those, and I won't name names, but I'm pretty aware of a lot of these companies that had to spend so much money to get into the market and what are heavily leveraged with debt. This is not good news, and the unit prices are going way down.
Did they not
Also,
go to elementary school?
what's that now?
Did they not go to elementary school?
Yeah, I know. Supply and demand, how markets change rapidly. I mean, I
There's more
get it.
licenses coming online, more grow facilities.
Yeah, well, that's what all that stuff's going on. The medical side of the industry now, there's 1,285 active licenses and 459 provisioning centers, and 161 municipalities have opted in, but we got like 1,800. And on the adult use side, there are now 412 active licenses and 500 retailers and 119 municipalities. I always have a hard time with that word. Have opted in, so it still leaves 1,700 or so in the state that haven't. So that's really the big news of the week. We're still on a run rate of doing about $3 billion in sales this year, but it's early in the year. Well, I guess we'll see what happens once we get to the midpoint and prices keep dropping. But again, you have more and more competition is coming in. What I'm hearing though is some of the big multi-state operators don't want to come in the way they have in other states, because in Michigan there's no limit on licenses. Some states limit licenses, and so they're worried that they'll come in and the consolidation that seems to be creeping through the industry or roaring through the industry right now will not be a good business strategy for them. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
You know who you got on next week yet, Mike, or not?
We're probably going to highlight some of the stuff you're doing, since I'm going to be involved with that later in the week.
Yes, you
I
are.
was thinking about maybe inviting Blaine on. Now, Blaine has to wear his tuxedo if he comes on, because you're going to be giving out those Hempy awards with me, right? So
I have something that looks like a tuxedo.
I know that T-shirt you wear. It looks good though. And then we have a lot of people that want to come on the show. I have my own show on Wednesdays, and so we cover the dark side of the force. And so I'm looking at several options, but there's a lot of it. Gosh, we came out of the pandemic, and there are so many cannabis smoking events, consumption events this summer. They're everywhere, all over the state, every weekend, and it's hard to keep up with them right now. So we'll probably take a look at some more of those summer events.
Are you going to be at the Grow Green Carnival tomorrow on Saturday?
Not sure. I perpetually am behind on my work. So, if I go to an event that allows me to relax in that certain way, then I get even less work done. But I'll take a look at it and try to get there. So
yeah, so that's in Whitmore Lake, and I'll be there with the booth and talking up the expo.
Yeah, well, I'm Ann Arbor. I'm 10 miles away, right? So since I know you're going to be there, Dave, I'll make an effort to get up there. How's that?
And say hi.
We want to give a big shout out to them. Thank you for letting us have the one facility for the Hempcrete workshop a couple weeks ago, the doghouse. We got to get that doghouse somewhere up to Lansing somehow. So we got to figure that out, Dave, how to get that up there. So
it's probably pretty darn heavy too, isn't it?
Roman thought it would be about 300 pounds.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
And then if I get my truck back, hopefully I'll be able to do that.
It's tornado proof though. At 300 pounds, I don't think even a tornado could move it, right?
Will not move it.
No, it's a safe shelter for the doggy. Yep.
Yeah, very safe.
Mm-hmm.
Quite not big enough for most of us to get into, but So just a little bit of this is such a great show, and I know, Dave, we were talking so much fun stuff, we forgot what time it is.
Yeah.
But also, I'm just going to do just a couple things. The first question I have for you, Dave, a very, very important day is coming up next week. Actually, 2 weeks from now. I don't know if you know what day that is.
2 weeks from now?
2 weeks. Let's just say it's 2 weeks.
No.
I'm going to ask you this question, Dave. Are you a turtle?
You bet your sweet ass I am.
Okay, then that takes care of that. So Monday, May 23rd, Dave, is National Turtle Day.
National Turtle Day.
National Turtle Day.
We should have
mark that on your calendar. So
you bet.
Robin and Hannah and anybody else that's listening, if you're not a turtle and you want to become one, get a hold of us and we'll make that fun event happen. It's a great little fun, just a fun group. on that.
It's actually
we
an
want-
organization they're talking about. They don't want you to actually turn into a turtle, but it's a
Oh
group.
yeah, that's
So
So
you
we
may
don't want
have
you hiding in your
confused them
shell.
there, you know.
very
so-
old fraternity.
Yeah.
The secret.
We want to thank Joe Brown for keeping us updated. We've been so entrenched in the expo stuff that there's a couple of bills that we're trying to get some support from in Michigan, and this is for being able to use have CBD regular here in the state. And so one of the main bills is House Bill 5068. I think I've got the right number on that. Also 5060, I think, but that we need support to get this passed. It's going to help. We feel it's going to help our hemp growers be able to get their products into the marketplace and in Michigan here. So we'll probably have more on that. We'll have some on the website of that. But again, we want to thank Joe for his efforts in spearheading that, keeping it up. And also one of the things that this is going to allow us to do is be able to use hemp for feed, livestock feed, when that becomes available here in Michigan. So one of the big things we're going to push for this season as we move through it. And also the blessing of the hemp. This is the second, I believe, blessing of the hemp. Was going to be August 27th. There we go. Oh, 8th annual. I'm behind on that.
Blessing of the hemp. I don't think I remember that one from last. Didn't have it last year, did you, or not?
I don't know if he did or not. But
That's
a
good
really
one on
fun
me.
day that they're going to have out there. It's a free event. In the afternoon, they're going to have fishing contests for youth. And one of the things we've learned, and I learned this from Robin, and Robin, I found out more information lately on this, is that the hemp protein that's made from the hemp seed oil that I make, that protein can be used as a great fishing bait. So
Really?
we're going to do a little experiment out there. We're going to make some little balls of hemp protein, and we're going to try to fish with them out there. So see what that does. So, and Dave, we talked a little bit about banking the other day. So I'll give you a little example of one of the problems I had. So we finally have, the brand name and the hemp parts. We'll have them at the expo as well and on the website. But so I had to send payment to them to get payment for making them and shipping them, that kind of stuff. And so I sent a wire, and I was just at the bank today, and the lady said, well, we took care of it for you, don't worry about it, but I want you to know that got marked as fraud going through the banking system. Well, you know why? Because it has hemp in the name on it. So again, the silliness that we have going on, we got to correct it, but just that silliness going on. So
Yeah, just so to let you know, my favorite banking story, Hannah, is I wanted to get a big boy bank account with one of the bigger banks for my hemp frisbees, and they wanted to know how much THC is in the frisbee.
Yep. Dave smokes them,
Now,
but
if you
he
turn
doesn't
them
recommend
over,
anybody
yeah.
else smoke them, so.
let's jump back to Robin. I think you've got some more
Right,
slides you
yeah.
want to share with us. So let's jump back to that.
Actually, we had one more slide and then our thank you slide, and it was really about the timing of ordering seeds. The seeds are grown and they're harvested, and they're brought in September and October, and then they're cleaned, they're packed, they're tested, they're certified, and those seeds are ready and available, in February, in March, right? So when you're planting hemp and you're doing big, if you need to ship from overseas, you need to plan in advance. Yeah. So this year we were taking orders for containers or FCL, full container loads. We're taking those orders, and payments are getting cleared in October and November for the following year.
Okay.
It's not like corn or soy or wheat where there's somewhere you can buy that seed locally. You can go get it the day of, if you need it. With this hemp seed, if you're going to go big, you need to do it in advance, right? So we are distributing LCL, less than container loads, up to 10 tons, 15 tons. We can do that domestically. But when you start talking these 800-acre grows, 2,000-acre grows, this hemp's coming from somewhere. It's coming from Europe, or it's coming from China, or it's coming from Australia. And there's transport, and there's logistics, and there's clearing, and these things take time. The process takes typically a couple of months. And with global logistics being what they are, it's very challenging to get this seed quickly. It's going to take, 6 weeks. The shipping companies this year would not even guarantee 6 weeks. We saw 10 weeks. we saw 12 weeks. So it takes time.
Well, let me jump in
So
here,
if you're
Robin,
thinking about,
Robin, let me jump in because it doesn't make sense for us to order seed until we have processing. So as we have very little time left on the show, and it's like we could go another hour on this topic, but will you talk to us about the first steps of setting up processing here in Michigan and what the low hanging fruit is to get some traction and get something going here in Michigan?
yeah, I was talking to Blaine about that the other day, and I'm not very familiar with what access you have there in Michigan. What I suggest is look at your local manufacturing. What do you have access to there in Michigan? What can be supplemented with the hemp, right?
Plastics are one of the low-hanging fruits, so that's the herd, right? And animal bedding. I mean, that seems like a real easy entry point.
Yeah, we have the auto industry in Michigan, and we have GM and Ford and Stellantis, which used to be Chrysler. They're all moving into hemp-based plastics. The Europeans are doing it already with Porsche and BMW, and they're doing the same thing over here. So that's our major manufacturers.
So decorticator seems to be a first step. And you said there's some new decorticators out. Can you talk to that at all? Robin?
There's a number of decortication operations that are planned for this year. I know that Hemp, they're up and running. Melissa in Kansas, she's up and running.
Yeah, South Bend Hemp, right? Yep.
South Bend Hemp, right. Biofill in Pennsylvania is running. There's a number of the machines that are functional now. We also know there's a whole number of machines that are planning to go in. Texas has a couple running. Missouri's up and running. I think Nevada's coming online. There's several that are going to go in the coming years. And then it'll be really interesting because there's a big target right now on the herd. And the herd is the low-hanging fruit, like you said. There's a lot of use for it, and it's the most easily available. But then you have lots and lots of fiber that's coming off that plant. And is that for automotive? Is it for textile? Probably not yet. We do like insulation. The insulation market is a good source.
Yeah, Cameron's got a good insulation product. Yep.
Hannah, thoughts?
Yeah, I think like the insulation, as I saw there, is in Europe probably the easiest because the insulation here in Europe are produced from only stem. So you can skip the decortication process, which is really costly, and go with these hammer mills and then the process of doing the insulation. But I don't want to say it's very cheap technology, probably not, but at least you having technology which making the product, because the decortication just makes kind of middle product, fiber and cheese, and then you still needs to like you can use the shacks as a bedding, and this kind of can be called as a final product, but for hempcrete or for like other like application, you still need to do something with this kind of material to make it product, So I think the insulation can be very interesting because it's kind of final product already with technology.
How does that insulation work? I don't understand that.
No, insulation it's kind of blocks. It's like insulations that in the US I saw they build the houses from this like wooden board, and between that they fill the insulation, right?
That's hempcrete.
And then this is like house built in all US. In Europe we have the bricks, and we put the layer of the insulation out of that because we probably more colder. I don't know, like nobody lives in this like style of houses here. But like we use the insulation usually like under the roof, or we use the insulation out of the house to protect the house from the cold from outside, and usually it's like old houses are covered in insulation from polystyrene, which is like not really the best insulation because it does not last really long, like a couple of like maybe 2 decades if you're lucky, and then you need to remove it. Hemp lasts longer, it can breathe, so you don't have like moist mold inside the house. It also insulate from not only like cold or heat, but also insulate from a sound. So in Austria government now like using these blocks, these panels from hemp insulation to fit them in these walls around the highways. Yeah, that like in Europe we have like many rules also for like sound. So there is like sound limits. The highway around the city, there needs to be this like sound barriers, which are just concrete walls. But now they realize if they put which are very thick to kind of be able to protect the sound. But they realize if they do it like thin and they put like just layer of the hemp insulation, they can save a lot of concrete. So in the end, it's kind of counts cheaper, you know. So and plus all the carbon sequestration going on, you know, in Europe, so they can also kind of say we save some carbon like in this wall compared to like do it from concrete. It's not really, you know, anything like you can even like start conversation about sequestration of carbon.
So Blaine, are you hearing that
so
we can?
I feel like this application can be the same
So
in US.
so a hammer mill, you're going to have both fiber and the sheave and the hurd, and you're saying you can make blocks because everything I've heard is that you don't want that outer fiber in your like hempcrete. When I'm hearing
the dock house, Dave, that we built, right, and the bricks that we did down at Critter Barn down there, that was like the first pass through the machine before I put it through the hammer mill.
Much fiber, not much of that outer fiber in there. It was pretty
right.
clean.
Well, you didn't really notice it, but it really was attached to all those little pieces. So there was fiber that's still in there.
So just hammer it, and we can use. That's a lot easier. That'd be a lot easier to find a hammer mill to get some hempcrete operation going. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And
didn't you buy one that you haven't gotten yet?
What's that?
You actually bought one.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we do it, we're able to make the product, and the fiber comes out on one end, right? The longer fiber, and then the hurd comes out of the other side of it. So it works pretty good.
And just a note for what Hana was saying, the hemp insulation she's referring to is done through the hammer milling process. They desire that particular spec, which is then mixed with flax and then mixed with PET and then baked. So you're getting bats. And Dave, when you're talking about hempcrete, that's different. That you probably don't want as much fiber in that hempcrete. You want more pure shiv, maybe even more fine shiv, and you've got a more particular mix. And although that hempcrete definitely has some potential insulation properties to it, it's not the same as the hemp bat insulation, which Hana was referring to.
Okay, exactly. That's what I was trying to follow. I thought I missed something. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Kim is going to be at the expo putting on some demonstration stuff with her machine on doing the hemp insulation. So it'll be real interesting if you come see that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, blown in insulation. It's exciting. There's so much innovation in this space and so much more innovation that we need. And we really need your energy, and we really appreciate you guys.
We didn't even get into the food discussion. So it was great discussion.
That'll be the next call. The next call.
We got to get you back on, because we just got to. People got to know the value of this product, what it's going to be for everybody. So we will definitely set that up for a future show to come back on after that. So
all right.
Well, thank you very much for taking time out of your day. Of course, it's evening for you guys over there now, but thank you very much.
7 hours, right? You're 7 hours ahead of us.
Yes, sir.
All right. One last time, how do people get a hold of you guys?
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
Email. You can find us on LinkedIn. We're both pretty active on LinkedIn. Hana Gabrielová, Robin Destiche. Our emails are very simple as well. Robin at hempoint.cz or Hana at Hanka with her K in there, Hanka at
Everything
hempoint.cz.
Hempoint I receive, no problem.
You can also find us
Hempoint you
at
said, I get it.
you can also find us at KonopiUS.com, and we have a general info line there that routes to us as well. Phone number on there also. So we're very accessible, and we love to talk to different industry developers and innovators.
Excellent. All right. Here's Konopi.
Man, thank you guys. And these will be people that, as we move the hemp industry forward, they're one of the biggest steps in moving this industry forward by doing all of the seed that they're doing and everything else. You know, to me, this is rocket science when you get into the seed stuff. So
It looks like this would be a good way to get some research going. A nice variety pack.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we've done a number of different samples. We've been pretty flexible this year based on if somebody wants fiber sample or grain or dual purpose or a mix. We've been doing different mix packs for different regions. So like you said, it's great for just testing, you know, get a pound, get 5 pounds, whatever, and you know, throw it in the backyard, and you know, see what you get if you want to test on a little small scale and just see what happens.
However, do make sure that if you're getting it, you do have your proper license to be able to grow it if you're in.
For sure.
Just so you know, Robin, it's $1,350 for the right to grow these seeds here in Michigan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for Michigan.
Yeah, well, it
No.
may be, but it's not good for the growers, that's for sure. So.
Yeah, no, good for the taxes.
Yeah.
So Dave, before we get into that, Dave, let's bring up the expo. Let's talk about that a little bit, and we'll kind of wrap this thing up for today. Sorry that we're going over just a little bit today, but man, the information that we've been able to provide today is just awesome. So the expo is coming up next weekend. Now the 19th, we have the getting ready for audit training. If you're doing any kind of processing, you're going to want to get a license eventually and get third-party audit because it's coming. You might as well get on the bandwagon now. We've got a great price for doing that. The audit-ready training. Pete Nielsen is going to be hosting that, teaching that. A great. He's been doing this for a long, long time. Analytical Laboratories out of Coopersville. So it's $300. To come and enjoy. Going to be a day's worth, and it includes lunch for that as well. So, and you'll go home with quite a bit of knowledge to be able to get yourself ready or start down that road, because this is getting ready and doing an audit takes more than a week. So got to get started on that early. And then we the Hempies Awards we'll be doing now. We backed up the judging on that a little bit. So you still have time. We're going to do that Thursday, the 19th, that evening after the networking session. So if you still want to get something in for the Hempies Awards, you've got time to get it in. But tick here, folks. Tick tock, man. This is the deadline. We've got to get you to get it paid on the site, and then we've got to get you to get your product shipped over to Jackie. Or if you're coming for Thursday night, you could bring it that night. But we need to know if you're going to be putting a product in so we can plan for that. The other thing is, if you want to get your ticket for that evening, that needs to happen because tomorrow I've got to give the final count to them there. If you're looking at getting a room for $119 at the Radisson, which is, by the way, an awesome price.
Yeah, that's
That's really what it is
cheap.
now.
It's like
That
$200
needs to happen
otherwise.
as well, tomorrow, because that's the deadline for that. The agenda and speaker list is up there, so you can see who's talking. We have 70 some speakers, folks. Dave wanted to be smaller, and guess what? That didn't happen. But a lot of great information coming out. Don't miss this Friday. Friday is kind of a business to business kind of one. And then Saturday is free for everybody to get in. But you can see that some of them require an all access pass to get into, but there's a lot of them that are up there for free as well. So
Let me just scroll through the agenda here. Or there's a PDF.
that's happening in a week. And so anything else, Mike? Any last thoughts, Dave?
No, sir.
No, I think we're good.
All right, then here we go. We're going to give you the wonderful recipe we have today. This is for hemp and pecan crusted salmon. This is by Brittany Mills, who I like to give credit where credit's due. And you know how, if you've seen me do this on the show, you know I can like quick and easy things. So this is like a 12-minute thing to make and cook. So the flavor crusted salmon makes for a quick and easy meal that's loaded with protein, gluten-free, and low in carbs. So it'll make you look skinny when you get done eating it, Mike.
Yeah.
Ingredients: you need 4 5 to 6 ounce salmon fillets, half a cup of grated Pecorino and Parmesan cheese, a quarter cup of the I'm not going to give the brand name they say because the Emperor hemp heart seeds.
Yep.
Get there.
Only buy those. Those only work with this recipe. Any other ones won't work, right?
Well, it works the best with those.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
All right.
I mean, others are okay, but certainly, yeah, definitely got of those. 1 tablespoon of dried basil, 1 tablespoon dried parsley, 1 to 2 tablespoons of hemp seed oil, changing that from the olive seed. 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, lemon slices, and salt and pepper for servings. Pretty simple now. I like to do mine on the grill. They talk about doing this in the oven. You could do it there as well. But you combine the hemp parts, the cheese, and all the other goodies together. And then you press that on top of your salmon patty. And then you cook it in the oven to whatever temperature you like or how it looks. And away you go. So we're
Good.
And I do have a visual. Because I went to. Yep, I'm up in the game sometimes.
Yeah, there we go.
Wow.
Nice.
Yummy.
For lunch, huh? So
Absolutely.
You got it.
There we go.
Good work.
So again, next couple of weeks, we're going to be taking off the 19th and 26th. We won't have a show. The 19th, we're going to be pretty busy with doing everything for the expo. And 26th, I think we need a break. So it kind of
take a long Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, that's what I forgot about that. You're right, Mike. And Dave, don't forget May 23rd, National Turtle Day.
Bloop, bloop.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Hannah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, guys.
Peace
See you
and love.
next week.